All right, this is a meeting of the Hannah City Village Board. Call this meeting to order. Stand for the pledge and a moment of silence, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, you may be seated. All right, just some housekeeping before we get started. We have several people on Zoom. I will ask you to unmute yourself and give me your name as I call your name that I see on my screen here. We'll start with Christy Maskey. You're muted, Christy, if you want to.
Yep, I'm unmuted. Hi.
All right. Ashley Halcomb.
I'm here.
Mindy Fitch.
I'm here.
All right. Blaine or Courtney Pestle.
Hello.
Is it both of you or just one?
Just Courtney.
Just Courtney, all right. I've got a Jason.
It's Jason Fuller.
All right. Is there anyone else online who is a guest here for our meeting this evening that I did not call? Okay, also online we have our attorney, Michael Biggett, trustee Tony Frixell, and our engineer Brandon Lott. So we will begin our meeting. First order of business on our agenda is public input. Oh, I should mention also we have another guest present at our meeting. Joshua Powell. All right. At this time, I will open it up for any public input. Anyone on the Zoom call wish to make any comments at this time? Hearing none. Mr. Powell, would you like to address the board?
Sure. Well, thank you for the time and thanks for having an open meeting such as this, not just restricted. That can make things difficult. I talked with Tony a couple days ago about my request was wondering what the permit process was to run fiber optic cable through the town. So basically, who do we need to talk to? Typically, it's the road commissioner, the road engineer, the engineer, to run fiber optic cabling, access the right of way along the sides of the roads. And what is the permit process for that? Is anybody? Tony wasn't really sure who would.
Well, it depends on where you're wanting to run the fiber optic cable. You would work with our street department.
We're familiar with the process for Highway 116,
Right.
That's a state route highway, and we already have permits approved with them in various parts of 116. You mind if I?
Sure, go ahead.
And then as far as county roads go, that's a pretty easy process as well. We've already been working with the county to get those permits approved. So
Right.
Really, this would be the village side streets and all the residences in the area.
Right. What you would do is indicate where you need easements. It has to be within our easement right away, and work with the street department chairman to get that permission.
And what is that person's name?
That would be Rod Weaver.
Rod Weaver. I mean, yes, sir. Sorry, military background. So the second item was, again, talking with Tony about possibly leasing space on the water tower. We primarily are a fixed wireless internet service provider, Rocket Communications, and we do primarily serve our customers through fixed wireless means, similar to up there. But we are also just this year ventured into fiber to the home on a large scale. We do have some in some rural areas, but this is the first year we're doing on a larger scale.
All right. If you want to lease space on our water tower, you need to just send us a letter telling us what you're wanting to do, and it will have to be approved by the board.
Sure. Can you tell me any information about the current agreement?
The current agreement that we have is, I'd have to check to see exactly how long it's for, but it's a local company out of Hannah City here that is leasing the space now.
Maybe I can get a copy of that later on sometime.
All righty.
All right, thank you.
All right. Any other public comments before we move on to the rest of our agenda? All right. Hearing none, we should have in your board packets our minutes from our public hearing on July 21st in reference to our TIF district, and also we'll take that one first. I will entertain a motion on the minutes of the public meeting of our TIF district that was held on July 21st at 6 p.m.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Hoopengarner to approve, second by Gates. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. The next thing is our minutes of our regular meeting on July 21st at 7 p.m. Again, that should be in your packet. I will entertain a motion to approve. Motion by Steer,
Second.
second by Hoopengarner. Any further discussion, corrections, changes? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same. Motion carried. In front of you is the treasurer's report. I'll let you take a minute to see if you have any questions on that. If not, I will entertain a motion. We are working on the spreadsheet for the new fiscal year, but we do not have that available yet. But we will be working on that.
Are we through with the ordinance deal? We got that all paid for?
We have paid for the initial setup of the American Legal. There is an annual fee to host it on the website and on the internet. And there is also a fee whenever we pass a new ordinance. We send that to them. They will codify it and put it on there.
Who's setting them when we pass?
The clerk and I get together and we send that to them.
Are we keeping update on that already?
We are updated as of the last meeting. Some of the things they don't codify.
Like the annexations and all that stuff, now it's in there.
Yeah, that's not codified, so we don't send that. Only the things that need to be codified and put into our, but yes, we are up to date on that and they are working on that. Any other questions? Ron Gully has entered the meeting. Hearing no other questions, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve and pay all outstanding bills.
All right, I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report and to pay all outstanding bills from Hoopengarner. Got a second from Gates. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call. Hoopengarner?
Yes.
Hoopengarner's yes. Steer
Yes.
is a yes. Gates
Yes.
is a yes. Frixell
Yes.
is a yes. Motion carried. We're down to engineer's report. Brandon, would you like to, why don't we start with the scope and sequence document that you provided me today? The trustees here in the office have that in front of them, so go ahead and speak to that if you would, and then we'll talk about the other soil and groundwater, or you can do that first. I don't care. You're up.
I will. I will because it's very short. They completed the field work. We have not yet received a report, so we await that. I was promised it probably early part of next week to receive the report for the investigation that they did. Again, what we'll do is use that with the tank manufacturers to make sure that the foundations are designed and constructed properly. So field work is done. Report has not yet been received.
All right, very good. For those that didn't hear that, the field work for the soil and groundwater investigation has been done, but we have not received the report yet. As soon as we get that, Brandon will forward that to us.
Fred, you're a little bit choppy on my end. Am I able to be heard on yours? Is it on mine?
No, you're pretty good.
Okay. Okay. Regarding the water tank design, last time we had talked about whether or not we were authorized to move forward with that. And either way, I wanted to provide this document as a specific codification is not the right word, but documentation of the scope, the fee, the schedule for the design of the new water tower. We talked last time about how this would be the next step towards being shovel ready should grant monies become available. So the planning study that was presented the last time and a little bit the time before provided a cost estimate for this next work of approximately $46,000 design effort for your, let's call it a $1.5 to $2 million tank, depending on what we decide to include in that number. In any event, this is a documentation of that. The schedule would be to have the design completed and available to submit down to the EPA by the end of September. I would love to be able to tell you how long I think they will review it. Sometimes it's 30, 45, 60 days, depending on their backlog. We will submit it to them on September 30th, and any revisions that they require we'll do within 2 business weeks, if you will. Our intent is to get this permitted as quickly as we possibly can. And then I want to be clear that what I'm proposing here is receiving permit from the EPA to construct a new water tower. And then at that time, you might stop and consider when should we go to bid. And I think that's going to be your most difficult decision in this process. Because that bidding is smarter to do when you know your funding source. But you'll be ready to do that immediately with this done. And this scope does not include going out to bid. One example, and one of the things we talked about last time, planning report, is some of the grants have requirements in them that others might not. Some of the loan programs have requirements in them that others may not. So a lot of that really states how you would go to bid. So again, that's a good stopping point. If you've got your permit that's good for a couple years, then you can to find out when the opportune time might be to receive some assistance. And if not, if they continue to put money aside, and maybe the day will come when you can pay for it outright yourself. But I wanted to be clear that this is through permitting, so it's design and permitting of your new facility.
All right, very good. You have the document in front of you. Does anyone have any questions concerning the scope of work and what they tell us they're going to do? This is basically the design work for the new water tower up through the permitting process. I think we have already approved this previously, but this is written down and in order now. So does anyone have any questions? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve the proposal for the design and permitting of the water tower.
So move.
Got a motion by Frixell, a second by Steer. Any further discussion? Roll call it. Steer?
Yes.
Steer is a yes. Gates
Yes.
is a yes. Frixell
Yes.
is a yes. Hoopengarner
Yes.
is a yes. Motion carries. Okay, Brandon, you've got your marching orders. Continue, please.
Thank you. I will. Appreciate it. I don't have anything else. If there are no more questions, I'll probably continue to listen if I'm needed, but that's all I have for my reports.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Michael, go ahead and unmute yourself. Do you have anything for us?
Not a whole lot of new updates from our office. We've got this resolution extending the mayor's emergency powers. I believe that's up for a vote tonight. And then we have an update on one of our ordinance violation cases, but I can save that for other business. I noticed that it's set here later in the agenda. I can go over that at that time if you'd like. But other than the new resolution extending emergency powers and an update on one of our ordinance violations, that's all I have to report.
All right. So this is in reference to resolution number 2020-08-01, a resolution restoring temporary executive powers pursuant to 65 ILCS 5-11-1-6. This is the same resolution that we have been voting on the last several meetings since we have started under this COVID disaster declaration by the state. Does anyone have any questions? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve such resolution.
So moved.
Motion by Steer, second by Gates. Any further discussion? Roll call. Gates,
Yes.
Frixell,
Yes.
Hoopengarner,
Yes.
and Steer.
Yes.
Motion carried. Resolution has been approved. Does anyone have any questions for our attorney?
Yeah, and we decide whether we need an ordinance on that
Intersection.
intersect or on the
Truck
street,
route.
Second Street or not.
Oh, Mike, I don't know if you have any thoughts on this or if Patrick was able to talk to you about it, but do we need to establish ordinance to establish a truck route through town? We have the signs have been purchased and we're getting ready to establish that truck route. But one of the questions that came up is, do we have to pass a specific ordinance designating certain streets as truck routes? Patrick hasn't gotten back with me on that. I don't know if he's mentioned anything to you about that or not.
Yeah, I didn't get clued in on that one. I didn't know that was an issue right now. But Patrick's out of town. I can certainly look up what kind of ordinance, if any, that we specifically need to designate certain roads as truck routes. I can look into that.
All right, thank you very much. All right, let's go to committee reports, finance.
We did renew the 3 certificates of deposit that came due on the 22nd of July, and they were all renewed at an annual percentage yield of 0.25. I wish it was 3.
Yeah, me too.
And they were all for just 6 months.
So 0.25.
0.25%
For 6 months.
Quarter of a percent
For 6 months.
for
For
6
6 months.
months.
All right.
Since the rates are so low right now, we just want to keep it in short term in case something does happen. And some of these, one of them is for the Rails for Trails project, and maybe we might be needing the funds for that, and also for water tower. The other one was for the lagoon, so we just kept them all for the 6-month term.
All right, for those that didn't hear that, the Finance Committee renewed the 3 CDs that came due for a 6-month period at a 0.25%. And they will look at it again in 6 months.
That is all I have.
All right, that's all for finance. Sewer?
I don't have any.
All right,
No one said anything to me about the refurbishing. Did we get that finished?
all right. The update on the refurbished filter beds They are working on that. They have one bed completely, or 3/4 of the way done, and they are working on the other 3 beds. They will be, again, renting a skid steer to work on the one bed that is just about ready. What they have to do is scrape off. As they cleaned it, everything, all of the dirt and stuff comes to the top, and then they have to go in and scrape all of that off. So they'll be renting a skid steer probably for one day this week, and then sometime in the next 2 weeks, depending on the weather, the others should be completed, and they will have to do the same for that. And they'll probably have to run it for a 3-day period at that time. So.
Does he show them what to take off or how much to take off?
Yep. The other thing with that is the skid steer will be able to get quite a bit of it, but there will be quite a bit of hand digging also, because they don't want to go down too far and disturb the new sand that we've just put in there. And so they may be hiring part-time help to help with the removal of the sludge at that time. We won't know yet when they need it. Anything else under sewer?
No,
Streets and alleys, I don't believe we have any MFT expenses.
No, but
We do have a report from our engineers as far as our MFT.
the MFT, I don't call it audit, it's just a compilation of what was done last year for our program. And they put it together, Farnsworth does, and then send it to IDOT for approval. Make sure that we spent what we said
And
on the
so,
right things.
right, that has been completed by Farnsworth. It has been signed by our clerk and has been sent to IDOT, which is something we have to do every year.
Well, I sent it to Farnsworth and they'll give it on to
They'll
IDOT.
send it to IDOT. All right. Under police and planning, the only thing we have is an ordinance number 20-08-01, establishing a date for a public hearing on the BDD. Where is it?
This is TIF.
Yeah.
This is the second one. We have the second TIF hearing, right?
Hang on a second. Let me make sure this is correct. Well, we'll go on from there. We'll come back to that one. I've got to check on that.
It's TIF too.
I think it's supposed to be a BDD hearing, but let me check on that. Let's go on to water. Frixell, do you have anything for us?
I've got it, I guess.
Go ahead and unmute yourself, Tony.
Can you hear me, Fred?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I don't have the list in front of me. Brenda didn't send it to me, so for as far as the total of checks that were for water escrow account, what did we find out on the leak detection?
All right, they have completed the leak detection and did not find any major leaks in our water supply.
And is there an update on when Brenda's leaving?
Hasn't changed, has it?
No, she'll be leaving in October, so we need to start working on the plan to replace her. Do you have any time frame on that?
No, I'd like to try to get somebody in as soon as possible. so we can get someone training, because it's not an easy position to just take up and run with. So
Okay, why don't you give us a time frame, or at least tell us when you're going to be advertising it, and we can go from there.
yeah, I mean, I'll have to get the job description and go over it with Brenda. I can do that this week yet, and then I can have that ready at the next board meeting.
Okay,
Other than that, that's all I have for water.
Do you have the,
all right. All right, we've got some checks that need to be approved. Todd, do you have those?
Total checks of 14 for $850.
what?
That's what she told me to tell you. Total checks for 14. And it says $850 total amount of escrow refunds.
Okay.
And then, let's see.
But then we need to prove that here because
Oh, okay.
you can't prove over 500.
Right. All right, so we have a motion to approve checks from escrow, 14 checks in the amount of $850. I have a second.
Second.
A second by Hoopengarner. Any further discussion? Roll call it. Frixell,
Yes.
Hoopengarner, yes. Steer,
Yes.
yes. Gates, yes. All right,
What?
motion carried.
You want the rest of these numbers?
Yeah, go ahead and give the rest of the numbers.
Shut-offs, there was 6. So the total amount of foreclosure was $1,582.41.
How many foreclosures?
6 shut-offs,
Well, that's not the same.
okay?
It's probably foreclosure because I don't think we're doing shut-offs.
Yeah.
So it's 6 foreclosures in the amount of 1582,
Okay,
right?
yeah, 1583.49.
41.
Approximate gallons sold was 2,219.
2 million.
I'm sorry, 2,219,062.
062. Okay.
Right. And then what are these other ones? Total gallons sold this month were 71,100. Total gallons sold,
We don't usually do those
okay.
unless you have a bulk. Do you have any bulk water?
So,
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, anything else underwater? Buildings and grounds.
The only thing I have is the cleanup Saturday.
All right, the Hannah City cleanup days will be Saturday, August 8th. Just a reminder that everyone has to have their stuff out to the curb by 6 o'clock. They will be starting at 6 o'clock and going throughout the whole town that day. Anything else?
That's it.
It was posted in the
Trees are down
Trees are down.
and the rest.
shopper the last 2 weeks, so residents should know about that.
It'll be in this week too.
Right. And the trees have been removed and the stumps have been ground out. Our street crew is working on seeding those areas now. So,
Now, that's just the ones that's on the village easement, is that correct?
correct. All right. Going back to ordinance number 20-08-01, it's an ordinance to establish a date for a public hearing on our proposed TIF. We had the first hearing on July 21st. This one will be has been set for 6 p.m. on September 22nd at the Hannah City Village Hall. and on Zoom. Again, it's according to the timeline that was put out previously to you. We do have to pass this ordinance to establish the date, and it has to be done within a certain time limit. So that is the purpose of this ordinance. Does anyone have any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 20-08-01. It's an ordinance to establish a date for a public hearing for the proposed Hannah City Tax Increment Financing District.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Hoopengarner, second by Gates. Any
No,
further?
Steer.
No, Gates raised his hand first.
Oh, okay,
Any further discussion?
thank you.
Hearing none, roll call it. Hoopengarner
Yes.
is a yes. Steer
Yes.
is a yes. Gates
Yes.
is a yes. Frixell, unmute yourself and say yes.
Yes.
Motion carried. All right. Update on our COVID response. We have returned the office to normal operations. We've had a couple of the employees have taken their test and it has come back negative, so we are back to normal operations at this time. Our next step, if you noticed in the papers, we published the information on our business development district that was published in the Journal Star last week. It'll be published in the Glassford Gazette this week. The reason that we used the Journal Star last week is because the Glassford Gazette was not publishing a paper, and it had to be published 2 consecutive weeks prior to the BDD hearing. So that's why it was published that way. All right, Michael, do you want to give us an update on ordinance violations?
Absolutely. So it looks like our only open ordinance violation right now is the one involving Mr. Purdue. We filed a motion for default judgment in late July 23rd. We have a hearing on that ordinance violation coming up this month on the 27th at 10 a.m. We're asking for the $75 fine plus court costs and attorney's fees. And the defendant has been served with that complaint, but he has not yet filed his appearance. So everything is set for the 27th. We'll have our hearing.
All right, very good, thank you. We have sent out a few more letters, and they are in various stages of compliance at this time. But we have sent out, I think, four additional letters. There'll be a couple more being sent out this week. That's one of them. Another one's a car over on 3rd Street that hasn't moved in a year. So there'll be a few more being sent out. There will be a public hearing on the Business Development District on August 18th at 6 p.m. There'll be a public hearing on the TIF district set for September 22nd at 6 p.m. Our next board meeting is set for August 18th at 7 p.m. We have correspondence here. Thank you note for the Memorial Heart Association. The final thing I have on our agenda is approval of hiring a village administrator. We've met, we were very lucky in that we received 2 very qualified candidates for that position. We have interviewed both of them. They have both met with the board, and the trustees have had an opportunity to meet the candidates. At this time, I would like to entertain a motion to approve hiring Brian Baylor as the city administrator at the beginning August 17th. All right. Got a motion by Gates to approve the hiring.
Second.
Second by Hoopengarner. Is there any further discussion? Roll call it. Steer
Yes.
is a yes. Gates is a yes. Frixell,
Yes.
yes. Hoopengarner is a yes. I spoke with him, and like I said, he is willing to start on August 17th. So
What's his first name?
Brian,
B-R-I-A-N.
Brian. We will have he'll have the same phone as Kyle had, so if you have that number, if not, we'll make it available for you. But yes, he is anxious to get started. There'll be a little bit of a learning curve here, but I think he'll do a very good job for the village. Is there anything else that needs to come before the council? Hearing none, meeting adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Hey, Mayor Winteroff, by the way,